Good evening, friends. Pull up a chair, won't you? There's a certain ache that settles in our hearts when we hear the news, isn't there? A profound stillness that follows the announcement of another star, a familiar face from the tapestry of our own lives, moving on. It's a feeling that has become all too common in recent years, as the icons of our youth, the vibrant, colorful world of the 1980s and 90s, begin to fade into memory. These aren't the black and white legends of our parents' generation, those distant, almost mythical figures. No, these are the stars of our youth, the faces we grew up with on television every week, the voices that soundtracked our coming of age. Their recent tragic departures feel deeply personal because they represent the end of an era we loved, an era of must-see TV and cinematic magic. Each loss is a shocking reminder that the world we knew, the one where these stars shone so brightly, is now becoming a history of untold secrets and what-ifs. Today, we begin a journey through these secret files, not to sensationalize, but to understand. To reflect on the immense cost of fame, the hidden pressures, and the profound ironies that shaped the lives of those we admired. We'll speak of Matthew Perry, whose wit brought us so much joy, and whose private struggles were so deeply hidden. We'll remember Luke Perry, the rebel with a heart of gold, and Kirstie Alley, whose laughter filled our living rooms. We'll also examine the powerful legacy of Ray Liotta, a man who brought such intensity to the screen. And then, there's James Van Der Beek, a name that recently sent a ripple of premature mourning through the digital world, reminding us of the delicate line between public perception and personal truth. Join us as we remember these beloved figures and consider the patterns of tragedy that connect their unforgettable stories. Let's begin with a story that, in its very telling, speaks volumes about the world we now inhabit, a world where information, true or false, travels at the speed of light, and where the lines between reality and rumor can blur with heartbreaking ease. We're talking about James Van Der Beek. For a generation, he was Dawson Leary, the earnest, sensitive, and often angst-ridden boy from Capeside. He was the literary romantic, the dreamer who wore his heart on his sleeve, whose tears became an unexpected cultural touchstone, a meme before memes were even a concept. Dawson's Creek, which premiered in 1998, wasn't just a show, it was a phenomenon, a weekly ritual for millions of young people navigating the tumultuous waters of adolescence. James Van Der Beek, with his expressive eyes and thoughtful demeanor, became the anchor of this cultural moment, a face synonymous with the coming-of-age experience. His rise to fame was meteoric, transforming him from a promising young actor into an overnight sensation, beloved by millions. He was the personification of 90s mega-stardom, a staple of must-see TV culture. But as our files reveal, the premise of his tragedy, the very reason this file was opened, was a digital ghost, a false report that momentarily shocked the world. The intelligence reports claiming his passing were, thankfully, confirmed to be entirely false. This momentary panic, however, served as a stark, if accidental, reminder of the profound impact these stars have on our collective consciousness. It made us pause, didn't it? It made us think about the people who shaped our viewing habits, who, in many ways, shaped a part of us. The true tragic link between Van Der Beek and his peers isn't a secret society, but the crucible of 90s mega-stardom itself. Both he and Matthew Perry were anchors of an era, catapulted to a level of fame that came with immense, often public, personal struggle. While Perry's battle with personal demons was a known, heart-wrenching public tragedy, Van Der Beek's secret is that he has been radically transparent about his own profound struggles. The immense grief of multiple miscarriages suffered by his family, the relentless pressures of career reinvention beyond the shadow of Dawson, and the quiet, persistent mental toll of public life. He spoke openly about a spiritual crisis he faced, a deep questioning of identity after his most famous role. The pattern here isn't one of untimely demise, but of the immense, often unseen cost of being the friend or boy next door to an entire generation, of navigating a life lived under a microscope. The ultimate irony in the Van Der Beek file is that the subject, prematurely filed away as tragic by a digital rumor, has in fact built a vibrant second act defined by radical honesty about real-life tragedy and resilience. The public often remembers him for a fictional character's televised tears, a meme of exaggerated angst. The truth, however, is far more profound. James Van Der Beek has faced and openly shared profound real-world loss with a quiet strength and public vulnerability that eclipses any drama his characters ever faced. The secret isn't that he died. It's how publicly and how well he has chosen to live, embracing the messiness of life with an honesty that resonates far deeper than any fictional narrative. Think about that for a second. How often do we truly appreciate our heroes while they are still walking among us, sharing their authentic selves? From the conceptual tragedy of a false report, we now turn to a loss that settled deep in the hearts of millions, a reality that still feels impossibly cruel. Matthew Perry. For 10 glorious seasons from 1994 to 2004, he was our Chandler Bing, the king of sarcastic wit, the master of the perfectly timed zinger, the friend who could always make us laugh, even when life felt utterly overwhelming. Friends wasn't just a sitcom. It was a cultural touchstone, a shared experience that brought families and friends together every Thursday night. Matthew Perry, with his impeccable comedic timing and underlying vulnerability, became an integral part of that global phenomenon. His Chandler was relatable, flawed, and utterly lovable, embodying the anxieties and hopes of a generation navigating young adulthood. He was the wry voice of reason, the one who, despite his own insecurities, always had a witty comment ready, a verbal shield against the world's harshness. His golden years were spent at the pinnacle of television stardom, a household name, a face recognized and adored around the globe. Yet as the newly opened files reveal, there was a shared hidden blueprint for a specific type of 90s tragedy. Matthew Perry, like James Van Der Beek, was cast as a defining, sensitive male archetype of his generation. Perry was the witty, sarcastic, but emotionally wounded Chandler Bing. This typecasting, while bringing immense fame, created an inescapable prison. For Matthew, the pressure to be Chandler, to always be on, combined with personal demons that had taken root much earlier in his life, fueled a lifelong fatal battle with substance use. He confessed, heartbreakingly, that he used Chandler's wit to mask his pain, to deflect from the profound struggles he was enduring in private. The hidden pressures of maintaining such a demanding public persona while battling a relentless, insidious challenge were immense. His memoir, published just a year before his passing, laid bare the harrowing timeline of his struggle, a testament to his incredible resilience, but also a stark window into the depth of his suffering. He spoke of countless attempts to find sobriety, of the physical and emotional toll it took, of the constant fight against a formidable adversary. He was open about the dozens of surgeries, the hospital stays, the moments he almost didn't make it. It was a battle waged largely in the shadows, even as his character brought joy to millions. The tragic timeline of his final days, as revealed by official reports, points to the acute effects of ketamine, with drowning listed as a contributing factor. While he was undergoing ketamine infusion therapy for depression and anxiety, the levels in his system at the time of his passing were comparable to those used in general anesthesia, far exceeding what would be present from a therapeutic session. It was a cruel, unexpected turn in a long, arduous journey. The ultimate, most profound irony, laid bare in his own memoir, is that the man who became globally synonymous with the concept of friends, part of a perfect, unbreakable sextet, confessed to feeling profoundly and desperately alone his entire life. The character he played, Chandler, used humor as a shield against emotional intimacy. The actor, Matthew, did the same, but that shield was hiding a chasm of personal demons. He passed alone in a hot tub, a final silent moment that stands in brutal contrast to the loud, vibrant, laughter-filled coffee shop where the world will forever remember him. His story is a poignant reminder that even the brightest smiles can conceal the deepest sorrows, and that the battles fought in private are often the most ferocious. From one Perry to another, we now turn our gaze to a different kind of 90s icon. A man who embodied the rebellious spirit of a generation, and later, the quiet strength of fatherhood, both on and off screen. Luke Perry. For many of us, he burst onto our screens as Dylan McKay in Beverly Hills 90210 in 1990. He was the brooding bad boy with a heart of gold, the mysterious outsider who drove a Porsche and captivated a nation. Dylan was the ultimate heartthrob, a figure of effortless cool, whose intense gaze and troubled charm made him an instant idol. The show itself defined a decade, becoming a cultural phenomenon that shaped fashion, music, and teenage aspirations. Luke Perry in that role became a superstar, his posters adorning bedroom walls across America. His golden years of fame were intense, with fans flocking to catch a glimpse of the man behind the myth. Yet beneath the veneer of teen idol status, Luke Perry was a dedicated craftsman, eager to prove himself beyond the confines of a single iconic role. He navigated the hidden pressures of being typecast, seeking out diverse roles in film and television, striving to be seen as more than just Dylan McKay. He worked tirelessly, often choosing independent projects that challenged him, determined to hone his craft away from the blinding glare of tabloid fame. He found a quiet strength in his personal life, becoming a devoted father, often speaking about the importance of family above all else. His career saw a beautiful resurgence in later years, notably as Fred Andrews, the compassionate father on Riverdale, a role that allowed him to connect with a new generation of viewers and a memorable turn in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was embracing this new chapter, enjoying a period of renewed creative fulfillment and personal contentment. The 90s Patriarch Protocol, as our files call it, connects Perry to Matthew Perry and James Van Der Beek, revealing they were all subject to the same high-stakes protocol, anointed as generational idols by major networks in a pre-internet age. They weren't just stars, they were corporate tentpoles, figures around whom entire networks built their programming. The secret isn't a conspiracy, but a shared, crushing weight of public ownership, a relentless expectation that followed them throughout their lives. While James Van Der Beek navigated the treacherous aftermath of such fame, both Perrys became immortalized by their defining roles, only to be struck down by sudden, human tragedies that defied their on-screen invincibility, leaving a generation in a state of collective shock. The tragic timeline of Luke Perry's passing was swift and brutal. On February 27, 2019, he suffered a massive ischemic stroke. The news sent shockwaves across the globe. He was hospitalized, and for days, the world held its breath, hoping for a miracle. But the damage was catastrophic, a brain event from which recovery was medically impossible. His family was faced with an unimaginable decision, one no family should ever have to make. He passed away on March 4th, 2019, surrounded by his loved ones. The irony of Luke Perry's story is particularly poignant. For a generation, he was the dangerous, detached Dylan McKay, the epitome of cool indifference. But inside the industry, the Perry file was legendary for another reason. He was the anchor, the loyal friend, the set's quiet father figure, known for his kindness and grounded nature. The world mourned the loss of a teen idol, but the people who knew him best lost their secret moral compass, a man of integrity who left us far too soon. From the intense drama of teen idols, we shift our focus to a woman who brought infectious laughter and undeniable charm into our homes, a comedic force of nature, whose presence always brightened the screen. Kirstie Alley. She captivated audiences with her wit and vivacity. First as Rebecca Howe, the high-strung, ambitious manager of the iconic Cheers bar from 1987 to 1993. Her arrival breathed new life into the beloved sitcom, proving she could hold her own alongside television legends. Then came the smash hit Look Who's Talking, alongside John Travolta in 1989, cementing her status as a leading lady with a rare blend of comedic timing and genuine warmth. Her golden years were marked by a string of successful films and television shows, establishing her as a versatile actress capable of both uproarious comedy and heartfelt drama. She was outspoken, fiercely independent, and utterly magnetic, a true original in Hollywood. Yet beneath the public persona of the vibrant, often larger-than-life star, Kirstie Alley navigated significant hidden pressures and personal struggles. For decades, her public narrative was inextricably linked to her weight, a highly commercialized battle waged on her own body. She became a spokesperson for Jenny Craig, selling the public an image of manageable, external health, a journey shared with millions who watched her every triumph and setback. But our files reveal a devastating parallel, a private trauma that connects Alley directly to the pattern of unseen suffering we've been exploring. Years before James Van Der Beek bravely shared his family's anguish over recurrent pregnancy loss, Kirstie Alley endured the same secret agony. At the peak of her Cheers fame, she suffered a harrowing miscarriage, a profound loss she later admitted drove her to the brink of despair. It's a shared, unspoken tragedy that binds these stars. The deep, isolating grief of losing a child, a pain often entirely hidden behind the relentless glare of the public eye. It reminds us that behind the dazzling smiles and the comedic genius, real human beings grapple with real, heartbreaking experiences. The tragic timeline of Kirstie Alley's passing was, like so many, shockingly swift. On December 5th, 2022, the world learned of her death. Officially, it was a swift and brutal battle with colon cancer. The detail kept from the initial headlines was the recency of the diagnosis, a silent disease that gave her almost no time to fight back, discovered only very late in its progression. The ultimate, cruel irony of Kirstie Alley's story is heartbreakingly clear. While the world, and perhaps she herself, was fixated on the number on the scale, on the external battles of diet and image, a fatal internal tragedy was growing completely undetected. The very health she built an empire on was a fragile veneer, obscuring the disease that would ultimately claim her. It's a stark reminder that sometimes the battles we fight most publicly are not the ones that truly define our fate. I'm sure many of you remember her infectious laugh, her candid interviews, and the way she made you feel like you knew her. It's hard to accept when a talent like that is taken by such a silent, insidious illness, isn't it? From the world of television comedy, we now step into the gritty, intense landscape of cinematic drama to a man whose presence on screen was nothing short of electrifying. Ray Liotta. For many, he is forever Henry Hill, the ambitious, doomed mob associate from Martin Scorsese's masterpiece, Goodfellas, released in 1990. That role was not just a performance. It was an explosion, an unforgettable portrayal that carved his face into the Mount Rushmore of cinematic tough guys. With his piercing blue eyes and an uncanny ability to convey both charm and chilling menace, Liotta became synonymous with a certain brand of intense, unpredictable masculinity. His rise to fame was propelled by this raw, undeniable talent, leading to iconic roles in films like Field of Dreams, where he embodied the legendary Shoeless Joe Jackson, and later, Copland. His golden years of fame were marked by these powerful, often volatile characters, roles that he inhabited with a complete and unwavering commitment. Yet, the files reveal that what bound Liotta, like Matthew Perry and James Van Der Beek, was a golden cage phenomenon. He was defined by an explosive, career-making role in the 1990s that became both a blessing and a curse. Ray Liotta was forever Henry Hill. Matthew Perry was forever Chandler Bing. James Van Der Beek was forever Dawson Leary. This is the secret tragedy. They were immortalized, but also, in a very real sense, imprisoned by a single powerful image. The rest of their professional lives became a relentless battle against that ghost, a fight to be seen as more than the mobster, the sarcastic friend, or the teen idealist. The hidden pressures of typecasting, the struggle to reinvent, to prove their versatility were immense. Liotta faced lulls in his career, periods where the roles didn't quite capture the depth of his talent, but he persevered, always seeking out characters that challenged him, always striving for that powerful second act. He was a working actor, dedicated to his craft, fiercely protective of his private life. The tragic timeline of Ray Liotta's passing came as a shock to the industry and his fans. On May 26, 2022, he passed away peacefully in his sleep while on location in the Dominican Republic, filming the movie Dangerous Waters. The official report cites acute heart failure and pulmonary edema. The secret here isn't in the clinical terms, but in the profound context. A man who lived with such on-screen intensity, who brought such explosive energy to his characters, dying in the most silent, peaceful way possible, in the middle of a career resurgence he had fought for years to reignite. He was experiencing a new wave of appreciation for his work, with acclaimed roles in The Many Saints of Newark and Black Bird, proving that his talent was as potent as ever. The supreme, almost cruel irony of Ray Liotta's story is the violent chasm between his persona and his person. He was the face of cinematic menace, the master of the terrifying stare and the explosive rage, a man who made a living portraying characters capable of unspeakable violence. The truth, hidden in plain sight, was that by his own admission and the accounts of all who knew him, he was a gentle, sensitive soul, who had never been in a real fistfight in his life. He died not in a hail of bullets or a dramatic confrontation, but quietly in his bed, having finally achieved the creative second wind he'd spent his whole career chasing. As we close these files, what emerges is not just a collection of individual tragedies, but a profound, almost heartbreaking pattern. These stars, the heroes and anti-heroes of our youth, each carried a unique burden beneath the glare of the spotlight. Whether it was the relentless fight against personal demons, the silent grief of profound loss, the struggle to escape an iconic shadow, or the cruel irony of a hidden illness. Their stories remind us that fame, for all its glitter, rarely offers immunity from the very human conditions that touch us all. They gave us laughter, tears, thrills, and dreams, and in return, we gave them our adoration. But how often do we truly see the person behind the persona, the silent battles waged when the cameras are off? Their passing, particularly those who left us too soon, forces us to confront the fleeting nature of life and the enduring power of the memories they created. They may be gone, but the characters they brought to life, the emotions they evoked, and the indelible mark they left on our cultural landscape remain. Please share in the comments which of their roles touched your heart the most, because as long as we remember them, they are never truly gone. Take care of yourselves and hold your loved ones close. Memory, after all, is the only thing that truly lasts forever.